she'avad chilul avodaso v'loke kazar she'avad aval enu chayiv misa. So the Ram says, this is based on the moments of Vachman Daf Chav Beis, that an Orel, someone who's not gemalt, if he does avoda, so the avoda is psul. It's based on a pasuk in Yecheskel, Kol ben necha Orel leiv Orel basel lo yovo el mikdoshi. And the Gemara says that this was a halacha l'moshe misinai, which Yecheskel wrote down, that an Orel is psul avoda. However, the Rambam adds two things to that. The Rambam said, Harehu Kazar, and the Rambam also says that he's loika. So the Kesef Mishnah quotes that Rashi disagrees with this. The Kesef Mishnah, that Rambam, he says, it's a Gemara at the end of Hanisrafim in Sanhedrin, Orel Oynim V'Yoshev Ein B'Misa El Ba'azhara. And Rashi says Ba'azhara, Rashi to Hainu Azharim Dive Kabbalah Ba'alma V'lo Loki Alei V'Rabbeinu Shekoshev Shaloka, right? But the Rambam who says there's Malchus and an Orel. So the answer is that the Rambam thinks that the halacha Moshe Sinai subsumed the halacha of Orel under Zar. He's not a complete Zar, because if he would be a complete Zar, Zar only means somebody who's not a Kohen who does avodah in the base of Mikdash is chayv misi b'dei shemayim. So this person is not chayv misi b'dei shemayim, but he does get malchus, right? So to get malchus ain't onshim elen kim ashirim. So Ram thinks that this is subsumed under the law in the Torah that a Zar can't do avodah. And Rashi says there's no malchus because there's no ashara. It's only midivrei Kabbalah. It's only based on the pasuk in Yecheskel. So it's Allah l'mos misinai. So the avodah is psul, but you can't give a punishment to malchus because there's no ashara. So offhand, what you see from this Rambam, I once spoke to the Rav about this. You see that the Rambam thinks that that somehow an Orel, somebody who's not gemalt, right, he's not a ben bris, something is deficient in this Kedushas Yisrael. And therefore, that's reflected in the halach of kahuna, which is superimposed on Kedushas Yisrael. And since there's a deficiency, it's reflected, and therefore, if he does avodah, the avodah is possible to a zar, and he gets malchus. He's not a complete zar. He is a kohen, but there's a deficiency, so therefore he's not chayv misi b'dei shemayim, but he's what? He does get malchus. And Rashi thinks that it's a separate halach l'mos misinai. It's not reflective at all in the Kedushas Kahuna, but rather what? But it's a separate psul of Orel. So the Rav told the story. This is he told one to the Yotzei Chutz in Shum L'Zeich Abba Mori. He quoted that in Petersburg, the Takonos HaKol, that they didn't want to include children who not come out in the Kehila, and also they wouldn't give them a Jewish burial. And Reb Chaim said, and he's an Orel, it's a serious problem if you don't do Milei Chayv Kovis. But a Yid is there, right? It's not, there's no deficiency in the Kedushas Yisrael. You know, they tell the joke, when you bring in a baby, the Kfata brings in the baby, everybody stands up. But after the bris, when everybody goes out to the meal, you know, they forget about it, no one stands up. Why? Because when you bring in the baby at the beginning, you say, oh, well, for goy hot and covered. So that depends on this Rambam. So this idea, by the way, you find where the halacha Moshe Sinai subsumes halacha under another category. Where else do we find that? Famous Reb Chaim. It relates to what?
The what? What's the question?
That you have halacha Moshe Sinai, and it subsumes it under, even though it's halacha Moshe, it's subsumed under a category of lav in the Torah. Right, that's what Chaim by Orlas Chutzlotz, because the Rambam says that the Rambam quotes the Shittus Goinim that by all in Chutz La'aretz that Neter Avai, the fourth year, applies, and the Rambam disagrees, and Reb Chaim explains that the machlokes between the Rambam and the Goinim is whether what? there's a choice about this at the beginning of Kedushin also, whether the Halachah Sinai of all is chutzlah, even though it is a separate category of all is chutzlah, because the Halachah Sinai is suffix all is in chutzlah, is mutter always. That's part of the Halachah Sinai. But when all is noyig, so the Mנחem says that according to the Rambam, all is what? All of chutzlah aretz is a new category, right? So therefore, Netter Ravai doesn't apply, and the Go'anim think that Netter Ravai applies. And Mנחem says the Rambam is l'shita so because the Ram says and all is chutzlah aretz you're not liker because it's just halacha masum Sinai. And other Rishonim, Rashi and other Rishonim hold that an all is chutzlah you're liker. So Mנחem says because that subsumes it on the azhara of Allah. Here the Rambam is different than what I'm saying by Mila, right? Here the Rambam thinks the halacha Sinai from Yecheskel, based on the pasuk, but the halacha Sinai subsumes the halacha of Orel under what? Under Zar. So in this, if you look at the first Rashi in our parak, in Ha'orel, so Rashi says, the Mishnah says that an Orel can't eat truma, but right, it says what? Ha'orel v'chol hatmeim lo yochlu b'truma, right? For Neshem v'avdeim yochlu, the Orel himself can't eat, but avdeim v'Neshem can eat truma. And Rashi says ha'orel koyin shemesu achu machmas mila. We're going to get back to that. Then Rashi says Neshem v'avdeim yochlu damishum olus v'tuma lo. I can't read. Lo nafke michlal kohanim ela de inu gufay mechasri takanta. Rashi emphasized it's not because there's a chson in the kahuna, so therefore they can be meichel, l'neshem v'avdeim, but it's only halach of tuma. Because Rashi is l'shita, so here that it's not that an oral gabi avoided does not get malchus. All right. So there could be. So I want to just talk a little bit more about this halacha.
But why then, according to the Rambam, are they machal their wives?
So the answer is, even though there's a chson in the kedusha, it's only a pkam. It only reflects itself apparently as relates to avoda, but not as relates to truma.
I mean, he's not.
He is a kohen. It's the Gzeres was lo yovel hamikdash l'shavseni. So it's only as relates to mikdash.
I mean, there's a separate lav of Arol who's achal truma. There's no separate lav of Arol she'avad.
Okay, so we're gonna. So let's just hold off a second that, okay? So there's machlokes in Achronim. Magen Avraham quotes a Bach. What about an oral for Nesias Kapayim? So the Bach says that an oral is possible for Nesias Kapayim, just like it's possible avoda, because there is a hekesh of avoda to Nesias Kapayim, and the Magen Avraham disagrees. He says even though it's a hekesh, but doesn't make it exactly identical for Havaya, a Balmum could be noisy kapov, but he can't do the avoda. So the Magen Avraham disagrees. So it's a starker time that the Magen Avraham has, but based on what I said, maybe the Bach thinks Balmum is a psul, but it's not a chson of Dushas Kahuna in any way. So L'gav Nesias Kapayim, Balmum could be noisy kapov. But here, as it relates to avoda, that's the Gzeres Kosov, that the hekesh to avoda and Nesias Kapayim is that it's like avoda, and as it relates to avoda, it's different than Balmum, because here it's a chson in what? In the Kedushas Kahuna. If you look in the Pri Megadim, he's meramis to this answer, and the Moshe Igros Moshe says, it's in Chelik Beis, he says, "Sheposel to our leva our boso who midin echad the domel ben nechav yecheskel naslam shem ben nechel avoda avshe our boso yisol kosher mamish lachen yesh leposel gam lenesias kapayim the mitzadzi is gamkin l'siyas kapayim psul. So the Rav has about this, as I said, in the Shum Zecha Mori. I told you the story in Petersburg. Okay. I'm just going to mention parenthetically, what about a Mechal Shabbos for Nesiyas Kapayim and for Avoda? So in Shulchan Aruch it says that a Mumul Avodas Elilim lo yisas kapov v'yesh omim shim osher tshuva nosei kapov v'chein iko, the Ramah says, right? So the Pri Chodesh says that the Gemara says in Chulin, first parak, the Mumul Nasach Esayayin l'chal Shabbos v'hesha arehu k'mumul l'chol haTorah kula u'kufizeh tzrichim lasos tshuva k'tei shiuchlu lisis kapayim. And the Mishnah Berurah passes like that also, that a Mechal Shabbos cannot be noisei kapov. So the Rav quoted from so the Rav thought that was not correct. He quoted from his father. This was Nogeya when I think Moshe Soloveitchik, when he was the Rav in Washington Heights. Many his Balabatim kept stores open on Shabbos. They weren't Shomer Shabbos, but they'd come to shul in the morning. So they didn't want to be noisei kapov if they were kahanim. And when Moshe said, no, you have to be a chayv nesiyas kapayim, he wanted especially that you do it so they should remember that they're kohanim. If they won't be noisei kapayim, they won't remember they're kohanim at all. But the Rav said by the way, the Minchas Chinuch has a suffix about this. It's Mitzvah Yud Gimel. Whether this applies to this halacha ben necha applies to Mechal Shabbos can eat Korban Pesach, and what about for Avoda? Because that's the pasuk in Yecheskel that we cited. Ben necha ovel lev ovel basar lo yovel mikdashi, right? So the Minchas Chinuch thinks that it only applies to Avodah Zarah, not like the Mishnah Berurah. And like the Rav said, the Rav brought a raya to this. He said that the psul for Nesiyas Kapayim and for Avodah, I'm talking about Avodah Zarah, is not because the Maisa. He said, as it relates to Shabbos, the mumlish of Shabbos is the same as Chilul Shabbos, like Avodah Zarah. It's koifer in Maisa Bereshis. But he said the psul of Avodah Zarah is not because of the mumlish. It's the Shem of Avodah Zarah, the apostles. For Havaya, the Gemara even says, Kalim shinishtamshu b'beis chonyo. The Kalim are just Kalim. You see, it's just the Shem Levai of Avodah Zarah, the apostles. So if it's the Shem Levai of Avodah Zarah, that's only Avodah Zarah and not Chilul Shabbos. Right? And when Moshe and Igros Moshe passes like that as well. The Mechal Shabbos can duchen, not like the Mishnah Berurah. So I wanted to add something to this. Also, if you look in the if you look in the Sefer Mitzvahs, the Rambam, he says by I just want to come back to what Reb Chaim said about Ola, that the Lachum Osim Sinai, the Ram thinks that Ola is a separate category. It doesn't subsume it under what halacha? Under the halacha of Ola in the Torah, of Ola Eretz Yisrael. If you look in the Ram in the Sefer Mitzvah, Reb Chaim doesn't quote this, but the Ram, it's Mitzvah Kuf Tzadi Beis. Listen to the Lashon Rambam. Hishanu me'echol Ola, ve'isu Ola b'chutz la'aretz halach l'mos misinai, the Lashon HaTorah be'eretz Yisrael bilvad. The Ram seems to say explicitly what Chaim is saying. The halach Ola's chutz is halach l'mos misinai, but what the Torah speaks about is only what Ola's eretz Yisrael. That's what the Ram's Lashon is. Okay, so
I don't know if that's so. I don't see that it's so clear. The Rambam says that you don't get Malchus, right? So the Rambam saying that the halach Moshe Sinai is separate. It's halach Moshe
Right,
Mechadeshes,
and
right?
that's what the Rambam is emphasizing.
But then
the
why is he
Rambam, by the
putting
way,
in Sefer HaMitzvos? Why is that in Sefer HaMitzvos? That's a regular separate halach Moshe Sinai.
because in the Sefer Mitzvahs, he'll talk about, he's on the contrary, he's telling you, there is a halach of Orla, but this is not, he's saying, this is not subsumed under the Orla. It goes out of his way to tell you that. But when the Torah speaks about Orla, it's only Orla's Eretz Yisrael. Even says, even those Orla b'chutz la'aretz halach Moshe Sinai, omnam loshon Torah b'Eretz Yisrael levad. But when the Torah speaks about Orla, it does not subsume under that in the Lav, which the Goyim would hold otherwise, according to Reb Chaim. That's what the Rambam emphasizes.
You could read that Rambam also differently. You say Lashon HaTorah. He's saying that even if he thought that it was part of the Deraisa of Arla Eretz Yisrael, it's just that the Lashon HaTorah is only in Eretz Yisrael, and you only get Malchus for
All right.
Torah Shulchav.
I think it means the other. Is Hanu me'echel Ola and so on. Ve'isa Ola b'chutz la'atz halach l'mos misinai omnam lashon Torah be'etz solavad. Why does he have to add omnam lashon Torah be'etz solavad? Why does he have to add that? He just said halach l'mos misinai. So
I think it can go. I think it can be read both ways. Here.
It can be read against Reb Chaim or with Reb Chaim. That's what they choose.
What?
It can be read the opposite of Reb Chaim or with Reb Chaim.
Right, but first of all, you're never allowed to say the opposite of Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim's always right. That's one of the Ikri Adas. But
which translation of Sefer Mitzvos is that?
This is the standard Sefer Mitzvahs.
Oh, okay, so that takes the ones. Okay.
The one that was printed in Brisk. So I want to talk about one other thing that's related to this. Rashi, when he speaks here at the beginning of Ha'ara, what is an Orel? So Rashi says, Orel, he's speaking about Shemesu Echav Machmas Mila. And the Hagos in the Tosis Shishonim quotes Rabbeinu Tam, that Rabbeinu Tam disagrees. If it's Mesu Achmach Machmas Mila, he's not supposed to use it. It's Pikuach Nefesh. He's not supposed to do the Mila. He's not an Orel. And therefore, he could eat Truma, according to Rabbeinu Tam. And Rashi says he can't eat Truma. So this may be related to this Shaila, maybe. So if the halacha of an Orel is that somehow it's a chson his kedusha Yisrael, the definition of Orel, so then even in Mesu Achmas Mila, one could argue, even though he's not chayiv because pikuach nefesh, but he's still deficient. He's not a ben bris. He didn't have the Mila. But if the halacha is a separate halacha of Ola, not in any way a deficiency in the Kedushas Yisrael, so then even Mesu Echav Machmas Mila is what would be called an Orel. So in this respect, Rashi, who says that it's not Mukha, but Rashi by, what do you call it? Who says that an Orel by Avoda doesn't get Malkus because it's a separate Isa, right? But it's not a deficiency to Shishol. So he says also that even Machmas, that even Mesu Echav Machmas Mila, no, it's the opposite.
No, it's not the opposite. He says that.
I was going to say that if it's a chasonic kedusha, it's consistent, right? So if it's but Rashi holds that it's not a chasonic kedusha, right? I mean, we don't know if he holds. At least he holds it's not. There's no malchus for it. Just halacha Moshe Sinai. If it was a chasonic kedusha, I would say even if he's potter, but Lamaisi he's not a ben bris, right? Right? That's what I said. I mean, it's not so mukach. But by the way, I just want to say, in that shaila, there's another way to learn this machlokes Rashi in Rabbeinu Tam. Because it could be, Rabbeinu Tam thinks that, as he says, right? Rabbeinu Tam says in the it's too small for me to read here. But the light here is very poor. But Rabbeinu Tam thinks he's potter. How can he say that he's an Orel? He's not chayv to do the milah. So Rabbeinu Tam thinks that it depends on the chiyuv. And Rashi says, Rabbeinu Tam says, on the contrary, Rashi says, Mesu ach echach machmas milah is an Orel, right? Because he's potter, because of the mitzvah. And Rabbeinu Tam says no, but so de facto he's still an Orel, and he can't eat truma. So the shaila may relate to this. By mesu achmas machmas mila, is there a chi of mila? You could learn that this is a shaila in pikuach nefesh. Is pikuach nefesh hutra tchuya? In other words, if it's hutra, so there's no chi at all. So it's right. So it's different than even as Rabbi talks about, a cut in the first before the 8 days, whether he can, which is a shaila in the Gemara next daf, right? Because there is a chiyuv, just it's not chal completely till Yom Ches, right? Because the mitzvah is Yom Shmini, but it's not that there's no mitzvah of milah on him when he's born. That goes back to that sugya, but it could be by pikuach nefesh. That depends whether you hold it's hutra tchuya. If you hold it's hutra, then there's no chiyuv at all, so he's not an orel. That's what Rabbeinu Tam holds, and Rashi holds that it's what? That pikuach nefesh is tchuya, so he is an orel. So I was thinking, but there might be another thing I once heard from the Rav, that even if you hold all over that pikuach nefesh is tchuya, right? So it's a chiyuv just because pikuach nefesh you doiche it. But there's a remarkable Rambam the Rav pointed out. The Rambam at the very end of Perek Aleph from Hilchas Milah tells you that if the child is sick, you don't do, right? Ein malin elav vlad she'ein bo shum cholu. She'sakonis nefashos doche es hakol. Ve'ef shalomun la'achas man. Ve'ef shalahachse nefesh achas misol la'olam. Why did the Rambam have to add ve'ef shalomun la'achas man? Ve'ef shalahachse nefesh achas misol la'olam. You should have just said sakonis nefashos doche es hakol. So I think the Rav thought that it could be that there's I don't know the Ram's Makkah for this. We'll have to see as we learn Ha'orel, that maybe there's a special locha of pikuach nefesh as relates to milah. That by milah there's no mitzvah at all, and there's and it could be that the standards of pikuach nefesh by milah are different than all over. We know chaltzas chama, you don't do the bris till later. Maybe the standard is even a higher standard than the normal halacha pikuach nefesh. So if you say that, maybe even if you think that pikuach nefesh generally sakonis nefashos is tchuya, but maybe by milah it's hutra, and therefore he's not an orel of mesu achmach mas milah.